Welcome back, video creeps. Welcome to the new spot. What's up? So as you can see, a lot of things have changed around here, but be rest assured that what we do here is still review movies and have a lot of fun. So let me just show you all of the cool new stuff. And no funny business here, we're gonna get right fucking into it. So here's my review of the movie Donnie Darko. I'm so excited. Now this movie kicks off with a boy just laying down in the middle of the road, like a homeless person. Kind of a weird place to fall asleep, but the toddler will knock out where he falls. Now the boy gets up, takes a look at the beautiful view, before getting on his bike and letting one of many wonderful songs play that are on the soundtrack to this movie. This boy is Donnie Darko. We see Donnie eat dinner with his family, and we get a glimpse at what home life looks like. Can't imagine why the term suck a fuck never caught on, or fuck ass, for that matter. Donnie is a cunt to his mom.
Fine, see? You do that to me. How does it feel? How does it feel to be told to shut up?
We've talked about it.
Let me speak. How does that feel? How does that feel?
Do not put your hands on me. Do you understand me?
Do you understand me?
No, I asked you a question.
You know what? Shut up!
Now in this cute little exchange between mother and son, it is revealed that Donnie is on medication. Now after pausing this scene a couple of times, I'm able to find out exactly what medication this is, but I'm actually going to pass this off to my buddy Backwoodz Butcher so that way we can find out exactly what kind of medication Donnie is on.
Now that I've got a camera, it's showtime. Doxapan, as seen in the film Donnie Darko, is an antidepressant drug that contains a black label from the FDA warning against suicide possibilities and side effects such as dementia. It's amazing what you can find rummaging through the glove box of abandoned cars.
Thanks, buddy.
We'll be in touch, Mr. Creep.
Donnie gets up in the middle of the night and starts like sleepwalking, and he's listening to a voice in his head that's like guiding him, telling him what to do. It is here that we get our first glimpse at Frank the Bunny, a man in a rabbit costume, and he proceeds to tell Donnie that the end of the world is upon us. A bit too religious for my blood, but whatever. He tells Donnie that it's gonna end in about a month, and this is when we hear a loud crash. But before we can figure out what it is, we see Donnie the next morning passed out in a golf field with the numbers on his arm. Now Donnie approaches his house where he sees cops are riddled all over the place. And there's neighbors and film crews. Clearly shit has gone down. And we learned that an airplane engine has like slammed through their house and into Donnie's room. The next morning, Donnie gets peer pressured into smoking cigarettes with his friends. It's not cool, guys. Don't do it. Only you can prevent peer pressure. His little sister, watching all of this, gets threatened by Donnie by saying this to her. Now, like many of you, I always believed that this reference was to The Little Mermaid, like maybe Samantha had a Little Mermaid doll or something, but Donnie Darko takes place in 1988, and The Little Mermaid didn't come out until 1989. And maybe we're jumping ahead here in the film, but later on in the movie, we actually read a little piece of paper about a story that Samantha writes about a unicorn named Ariel. So my assumption is that she has some kind of like stuffed animal or something called Ariel, and Donnie's willing to totally fuck its shit up. Just right in the fucking garbage disposal. The guy's a maniac. Now, another small detail that happens in this scene is that we meet Cherita. And this is a character that I start to understand a lot more as the movie goes on. When we first see her on both occasions when someone says hello to her, she tells them to shut up, which gives me the idea that maybe she doesn't understand English. Because though she does get insulted, like, those weren't doled out first, you know? Like, they literally just said hi to her, and she was like, shut up, you don't do that, that's not friends, bitch. Like, this bitch is credited as Cherita Chen in the credits. So what the fuck, bitch? Dope musical montage number 2. And what a montage this is. We see that stupid bitch from Child's Play 2 who gets killed with the ruler, Seth Rogen doing coke, the chick from Saved, Drew Barrymore, and Patrick fucking Swayze. Now back in Drew Barrymore's class, she's playing matchmaker as the new student walks into the classroom, who does not know where to sit. Can you fucking do that? Can you imagine the pressure on both sides of that coin? On one end having to be the girl who outs herself for sitting next to the boy that she thinks is cute. Bitch, she's brand new. Why are we doing this to her? Or on the reverse, being the guy who thinks that she's cute and then not having her sit next to you? What dog shit? You a bitch for that, Drew. Now back in the car, Donnie and driver of the fucking year almost hit a woman named Roberta Sparrow. And for me, one of the most interesting things about this movie happened. When Donnie gets out of the car, the woman whispers something in his ear. And though it is revealed later on, if you turn the volume all the way up, you can actually make out what she says to him. I'm kidding. Could you imagine? What she says to Donnie is every living creature dies alone. That night, Donnie is visited again by Frank, this time coming in the form of a dream that sends Donnie on a water pipe murdering spree. The next day, Donnie's dreams mimic reality as we find that the school has been flooded due to a damaged water main. After finding out that school's been cancelled, Donnie saves Gretchen from being sexually harassed by Seth Rogen. On their little walk together, Gretchen reveals that she has Phoebe Cates and Gremlin's level of family issues, and we find out that Gretchen's stepfather stabbed her mom like 4 fucking times.
I was 9 years old. Me and Mom were decorating the tree.
Maybe not the same thing as Santa dying in the fucking chimney, but still pretty dark. But Donnie hears this and decides, let's awkward flirt about this. We see Donnie in therapy where he gets hypnotized and jerks off in front of his therapist. And later, Donnie takes more pills and is visited by Frank again. And then the big confusing happens for a lot of people. And big questions in this movie start to get asked. Moving forward, in class with Mrs. Kettlewell, she teaches Donnie about something called the lifeline, breaking down all of emotion and all of life into 2 extremes between fear and love. A lifeline in which Donnie respectfully and methodically disagrees with. In a different class, Donnie asks his teacher about time travel, and his teacher, clearly lowering all of his standards to teach this high school class that's way below his pay grade, tells Donnie all of this incredibly useful information. He gives Donnie a book called The Philosophy of Time Travel, and it is revealed that it is written by no one else than Roberta Sparrow. Later, while watching a football game, Donnie starts to see wormholes, and these wormholes are dictating people's actions before they do it. Before he can piece together what this is, a wormhole begats out of his own chest, and he starts to follow it. This leads him upstairs into a closet, where he finds this. The parents have a sit down with the therapist, who believes that she has a good idea of what's going on with Donnie, and she suggests that they up his medication. Meanwhile, at school, Patrick Swayze turns his cute little VHS into a reality, and a live event at that. We also get a couple cameos from like Ashley Tisdale and Crazy Steve. The fuck? Donnie takes a stand and gets real on these motherfuckers. Donnie gets a little bit too smart for his science teacher. But what's interesting about this scene is that Donnie is understanding things so much deeper than anyone else around him. And how could he not when he's the one who's seeing everybody's actions before they're happening? Naturally, the next question that would pop into anybody's brain is what would happen if I deviated away from the wormhole? What happens if everything is telling me to go this way, but I go this way? Donnie, Gretchen, and Frank watch Evil Dead, which is a little bit weird because Evil Dead came out in 81, but this movie takes place in 88, so, you know, I'm not gonna fucking get weird about this, but I see you. In this scene, Donnie demands that Frank take off his bunny costume, and when he does, it reveals a boy with his eye missing. Donnie asks, "What happened to your eye?" And Frank just replies with this. But more importantly, Frank shows Donnie a portal. In this portal, it shows Patrick Swayze's house, and Frank instructs Donnie to burn it down. While this is happening, there's a school talent show going on, where Charita Chan is performing something from her heart and soul, only to be met with disrespect and snickers. It's so fucked up. Also, in this talent show, Donnie Darko's little sister Samantha has a fucking dance thing with her group Sparkle Motion, and I'm just gonna be completely fucking real with you guys. Ooh, this little bitch can't dance. How in the fuck did she end up getting center stage in all of Sparkle Motion is fucking beyond me. Go back, the whole time she's off a whole beat the whole time. Don't get me wrong, she's got the choreography down, but she performs it like a fucking jackass.
His hair, whack. His gear, whack. His jewelry, whack. His foot stance, whack. The way that he talks, whack. The way that he doesn't even like to smile, whack. Me, I'm tight as fuck.
You've got no rhythm, baby. Patrick Swayze is a pedophile, and Drew Barrymore gets fired. Then my favorite score in this movie takes place. Ooh, it's so tense and it's so, everything about it, I love it. It sounds like Trent Reznor fucking did it. Jumping ahead to the last day before the end of the world, Maggie Gyllenhaal gets into Harvard. So they decide to throw a Halloween party where more dope jams are spun. Donnie gets laid, a man named Frank goes for a beer run, and there's officially 6 hours left before the end of the world. The wormholes show up again, and it takes Donnie to a dry erase board. And I think that this is amazing attention to detail, because if you look at the handwriting on this little dry erase board, it's the exact same handwriting that we see earlier in the movie when Donnie destroys the water main. Donnie realizes that time is running out, and he goes over to Roberta Sparrow's house with his little group of fucking Stranger Things friends, and they enter through the cellar door. You know, the most beautiful word in the English language. Cellar door. But before they can look around to find Roberta, they get grabbed by Seth Rogen and the big bully of this fucking movie. They force Donnie and Gretchen outside, and they throw Donnie on the floor and Gretchen on the floor even further. And as all of this is happening, there's a speeding car coming down the driveway. And unfortunately, this speeding car drives over Gretchen's body, rendering her fucking dead. The driver gets out, and it's none other than the actual Frank in a bunny costume. And after realizing that Gretchen is actually dead, Donnie pulls out that gun and shoots him in the eye, killing him instantly. A few hours later, with Gretchen's dead body, Donnie jumps into a car and follows a gigantic wormhole in the sky. Sitting on the roof of his car, looking out into the wormhole, Donnie counts the seconds down to the end of the world. And in this movie, the last 28 days are reversed. Back to the moment right before that jet engine flies through Donnie's room. We see Donnie laughing, content, with all of the understanding of what is to come, as the jet engine crashes through his bedroom, killing him instantly. Mad World plays, and a chain of events are undone that we get to see. And that is the end of Donnie Darko. Now, this movie gets labeled a lot of the time as a time travel movie, which I think is one of the weirdest and slowest ways to look at this movie. It's so much more than that. It's so dark and humorous and deep. It's a very emotional film. It's more a drama about a boy who is coming to grips with how to define the direction of his life, trying to understand the fear of an uncertain future, and ultimately his disgust for all of the answers that the world keeps providing him. The world that he understands and the world that he lives in don't match up, and this is a constant inner battle for Donnie. But Donnie is not the only person that can see the world in the same way. One character in particular who I brought up a little bit is the character Charita Chen, who is incredibly interesting when you break her down to her core. She is an equally as troubled teen as Donnie Darko. She constantly endures an incredible amount of pain, so much so that in the movie she wears earmuffs, and those earmuffs are a representation of how she's just trying to block out the constant insults. Even when she shares parts of her, she is ridiculed. When Donnie grabs her by the earmuffs and tells her it's gonna be okay, this is one of the most beautiful parts of this movie for me. Because it is one damaged soul telling another, we're in this together and it's gonna be fine if we just stick it out. Emotionally, that is a giant leap for Donnie Darko. And based on Charita Chen's crush on Donnie, the only person who seemed to not give her shit, I'm willing to bet that that did a lot for her character as well. On the reverse end, there are people in this town more like Kitty Farmer, a woman who lives so far into the bubble that even when proof of Patrick Swayze being a pedophile is presented in front of her, a fucking kitty ring in his house, she is unable to accept that because it does not fit into what she already knows as a safe place to be. She looks at Patrick Swayze as a hero, and him spewing his heretic about defeating your fear gives her warmth. It gives her some kind of weird safety net, and that safety net allows her not to be a deep thinker. And she can't allow herself to be a deep thinker because the second that she does is the second that she realizes that she is riddled with fear, even though the whole movie long she's trying to convince herself that she's not. Now, this is my own random theory about this, and who knows, I could totally be wrong, but it's just something that whenever I watch this movie, I can't get away from the feeling that Roberta Sparrow is in some kind of infinite time loop. Now, there's weird things that make me think this, like the fact that she's constantly referred to as Grandma Death, or the fact that every single day she does the exact same thing, going into this mailbox, waiting for this letter from God knows who, until eventually Donnie actually sends her a letter and all. She wrote the book, The Philosophy of Time, which tells me that something happened in her course that led her to start experimenting with time, or at least understanding time in a way that most of us don't. It is completely possible that she was able to loop herself into this place where now she's eternally just getting older and older. And maybe Donnie being the key, writing her this letter, was the thing to break her out of it. Towards the end of the film, we do see her with that letter in her hand, which is a different action than what we've seen out of her. The one other time that we don't see her checking her mailbox is when she's whispering into Donnie's ear. What did Roberta Sparrow know? And now that Donnie has made this sacrifice, will she be able to continue on? It's weird, this movie got a sequel called S. Darko. Boy, does it look like dog shit. But I think it's weird that instead of going into Roberta Sparrow's story and what happened, which is 100% the story that needs to be told, instead we followed Samantha and like her brother that she essentially didn't really know. It just doesn't make sense to me. I would love to revisit Donnie Darko, but from Roberta Sparrow's eyes. Or, you know, fuck it, like don't do anything, just leave it alone. A big question for me in this movie is, why did Frank save Donnie? If ultimately at the end of the movie, Donnie Darko was just going to choose to die anyway, then why didn't he just allow him to die in the very first instance that the jet engine flew through his house? Why did Donnie have to see everything that he saw? Why did Donnie have to choose to make the sacrifice in order to see everybody get saved? By Donnie killing himself, Gretchen is saved, Drew Barrymore's not out of a job. All of these things, even Frank fucking stays alive. Although I did catch that if Donnie doesn't die, then a pedophile is caught. Whereas if Donnie does die, Patrick Swayze is never caught. So it's not a perfect decision. And I think that's what this movie should be known for. It shouldn't be labeled as a time travel movie. It should be labeled as a total think piece. Because it is. And that's where I think the strongest parallel between love and fear and the lifeline really play into this. There is no right choice for Donnie. There only is the things that we choose. And hopefully those repercussions stick in a positive way, but ultimately you don't know. And all you can do is look at the world around you, and with that information, try and make the best decisions that you can. So was Donnie Darko's choice worth it? For me, I'm not so sure if it was. Though yes, many people die, I think that Donnie's deeper understanding of the world around him made people's eyes open wider. They listened a little bit deeper. I think that was a greater gift than the sacrifice that no one knows about. But that is just my take on this. In the comments below, please let me know what you think about Donnie's choice. Did you think that it was worth it? And why do you think Frank wanted to show Donnie before Donnie would just make the choice to die anyway? For a little bit of added fun with this movie, I suggest that you guys look into the number 8 and Donnie Darko. It's something that comes up a lot with this film, and it's actually really interesting, especially if you understand numerology. The number 8 just follows this film in a really fucking odd way. It was filmed in 1988. Frank tells Donnie that the world will end in 28 days. If you add up the numbers on Donnie's arms, it comes out to the number 88. When Donnie makes fun of his little sister at the dinner table, he tells her that she'll get pregnant in the 8th grade. Donnie tells a story about his dog dying when he was 8. Like, it goes on and on and on with this movie. My buddy Backwoodz Butcher was telling me about numerology and the number 8 in numerology and how 8 means success. So maybe Donnie's sacrifice was a successful end to everything that was happening in this movie. In any case, whatever you think, let me know in the comments below. That's gonna be it for this review. Oh, fuck. Guys, I am a big fan of Donnie Darko. I knew that I was going to love this going in, and every time that I watch it at a different age, I constantly find a new way to really enjoy this film. So I think it's going to come as no surprise that for me, this movie is dope as fuck. Thank you so much for staying to the end of my video. That's going to be it for this one. If you haven't already, please subscribe and leave a comment down below so that way I know you're here, and I will catch you on the next video. Peace, video creeps.